So let's now continue adding content to our page. At the moment we have this title and this paragraph, and now I want to add a second paragraph here. I want to add a second paragraph below the first one where we add more text. And I'm adding this text in a new paragraph instead of adding it in the first paragraph because I soon want to style it differently, and therefore it shouldn't get the styles which are applied on this first paragraph. And B, if we use a new paragraph, we'll automatically get a line break. If I add some text here and I add a line break in my code, you notice that if I reload, the line break is not here on the page. And that's something to note and something to be aware of. Line breaks in your text, in your code, are ignored by the browser, by HTML, if they are in one and the same HTML element, basically. There are some exceptions, and you could also change this behavior with CSS, but by default, they are ignored. So if you have a new paragraph of text, you really want to create a new paragraph element. And if you think about it, it makes sense. The HTML element is called a paragraph element. So every paragraph of text should be wrapped by its own paragraph element. That's the most semantically correct way of structuring your content. And that's why I'm using a new paragraph here. I want to have a new paragraph of text. Now in this paragraph, I'll say I'll achieve this goal by diving into more learning resources. That's the text I'll have here. And if we save this and reload, we see that text here, and this text does not have the styling from the first paragraph because we haven't added that style attribute here. So for the moment, I'll just copy this style attribute with the values, with the CSS code we assigned to the first paragraph and add it to the second paragraph as well. And I'll press this format document shortcut so that my code is automatically formatted and is structured in a more readable way. And now if I reload, that second paragraph is styled as well. Now I'll come back to that styling because having to copy that style around is not ideal for a couple of reasons, but I'll come back to that. For the moment, I want to add more content. And to be precise, I want to turn more learning resources into a link. Because that's another common requirement which you might have on any website you're building, that you want to include some links that lead somewhere else, either to another page of your site, but at the moment we only have one page, one HTML file here, or to some external resource. And here I want to start with some external resource. Let's simply say we want to link to Google here, google.com, but you can link to any page. If we want to link there, we need to grab that address, google.com, or this complete address as it shows up in the browser, including https://. We need to grab this address, and then what? How do we turn this text into a link? Well, we got a separate, dedicated HTML element for this. We got the A element. And A stands for anchor tag, and the anchor tag is such a link. Now, this anchor tag needs to be wrapped around the text that should become a link, and then you need to add one very important thing to this anchor element. You need to add a HTML attribute, because like this, we would tell the browser which text should become a link, the text between the opening and closing anchor tags, but we don't tell the browser what the address, what the target destination of this link is. And to tell the browser, we need to add an attribute here which defines this target address. So that's another example of us adding more information to an element with help of attributes. And here it's the href, the hyperlink reference attribute which we need to add. How do I know that? From experience, from the MDN docs and of course by using autocompletion. If we add this attribute, we can now set a target destination of this link. And here the value then should be the URL we want to go to. For example, in this case, https://www.google.com. But of course you can use any address here. And I'll press this auto format shortcut again so that this is formatted again. Please note that it did now add a line break after into for me here, and that this is no problem, that this will be ignored as you learned, and therefore this will still be one sentence in one line once it's output by the browser. And speaking of that, let's see what the browser outputs. If I reload now, we see that more learning resources is underlined, and if I click on it, I'm taken to Google. And of course now I'll go back because I want to stay on my page. Now regarding the fact that it's underlined and actually also has a different color, we did learn that we can now inspect this in the browser to open the DevTools and have a look at why it's looking this way. And here indeed we see that we haven't assigned any custom styles, but we have some user agent styles. And here some color is set and the text decoration is set to underline. And that's why we do have this look here. So that's now a link added. And of course that's another key feature because basically every web page you're going to build will very likely need some links.